G'day viewers, Sep here. Have you ever wondered how much power do I really need in my caravan? How much solar? And what size battery do I really need if I want to do a few days off-grid camping? Well, we're going to find out. So this is what we're starting with. Battery volts 13.8. The solar's on the roof and working. There's no 240 volt connected. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cover up the solar panel so we don't get any input, and then we're going to turn on some of the appliances I would normally use when we're out either off-grid or connected to 240. And we'll see how much current draw over a number of hours that those appliances draw. I've just covered the solar panel up, and that shows me now there's a constant draw of 0.3 amps per hour. We've got 13.6 and 199 hours. So we've got 120 amp hour battery, AGM deep cycle, and 170 watt solar panel on the roof. So I'll make the assumption that 0.3 amps will be the BM Pro management system. We've got a range hood light on, and also probably the radio power that's off, but it's got a little light in there. So you've got that little constant trickle of power coming out. We're about halfway along in the test. I'm going to run everything we would normally run at night time when there is no sun available to recharge your battery. There's only the two of us, so we don't really need to run much. So we've got our Dometic 224 litre three-way fridge. It's on at the moment. It's running on gas. I've got a light on in the bathroom. If it's pretty warm, we normally run two Sirocco fans. They're both running at the moment, generally only on low speeds, all that's necessary. And also the TV. So it's about 4 hours that we normally keep everything running for, like we've got at the moment at night time. So that gives a fairly good indication where our current draw is. I'll give you a quick look now. So this is where we are at the moment after 2 hours. So with those appliances running, we're pulling 2.7 amps per hour. Like, there's no solar coming in, of course, because I've got it covered up. So we'll see what happens after 4 hours. We still haven't lost any discharge bars at the top here of the battery. It's saying the time remaining is 38 hours. The other thing I have done, I've actually turned on the water pump for about 5 minutes to imitate having a shower. I've also turned on the fan and the light in the shower itself, which is up the top there. It's one of those LEDs. So I've had that on as well for 5 minutes during this test, and the fan here, we've got a fan switch, which we had that running as well. Here's the numbers after about 4.5 hours. We've still got plenty of battery power left. There's our discharging graph, which hasn't moved. 35 hours it says there, time remaining. Still on 2.7 amps, 12.6 volts on the battery. I've just uncovered the solar panel. It's an overcast day out there at the moment. It's 4:30 in the afternoon. We've got 1.7 going in amp hours. The volt's already back up to 13. It's only been a few minutes since I've uncovered the panel, so the amount of current draw that's come out of the battery has just been hardly anything really. So some of the power draw of each of the components, I should go through some of that with you so you know. So those Sirocco fans we've got running at the moment, they're on low speed and they draw 0.1 of an amp per hour. That light in the shower that we turned on, that'll draw 0.3 of an amp hour. The gas fridge doesn't use anything. It's got a little light when you open the door up, but it's an LED. It just doesn't use anything. The bathroom light that we have on in the roof of the caravan, that draws 0.2 of an amp hour. And probably the TV, it's probably the most power hungry, and that draws 1.9 amps. The water pump, if you run that, that draws 4.7 amps. And then you've got the fan in the shower itself, that draws 0.2 of an amp. The TV being I suppose the most power hungry, so it just goes to show you probably, if you're only doing a few days and you don't want to run all the stuff like you would normally run in a house, like your aircon and washing machine and coffee machine and all the other appliances, you can get by with just a small system. Because I often wondered about these big 1500 watt solar panels up on the roof and 600 amp hours of lithium battery, and the enormous cost that is to put that on compared to a simple system. And unless you want to run air cons and washing machines and other those heavy use electrical appliances, maybe I suppose a hairdryer and coffee machines and that, unless you're not going to run all that, you don't really need all that big costly systems. So that's what the test was really about. Just to summarise what the situation is after the 4 hours, we're basically using 3 amp hours per hour on an average. It shows 2.7, but if we worked on 3, and I normally run all this stuff for say 5 hours overnight. I've worked on 4 with the test, but let's just say 5. We might run the Sirocco fans a little bit longer at night if it's warm, and they don't pull much power. So we've got 15 amp hours of draw overnight, which is not much. We've got 120 amp hour battery, so we've got 60 amp hours to play with. So I've used 15 of those 60. Now through the day we don't normally have the radio going and the TV going outside and all that, so we're all normally outside doing other things or going for a bit of a trip somewhere with the dogs, that sort of thing. So that power draw is basically our power draw just for 2 of us at night. The solar input runs at about 8.9 amps per hour. So if you worked on say 6 amp hours of input power, you're going to need about 2.5 hours of sunlight per day to put that 15 amp hours back into the battery, which is not much. So even if you had a few cloudy days and you might have a couple of days with no sun at all, you're still going to be okay. So in summary, I suppose for us in our situation, the 170 watt solar panel, the 120 amp hour battery, that's going to do us fine for 2 or 3 days, especially if the sun's out. 2 or 3 days, 4 days, even 5 days, just depends. I suppose water would be the thing that you'd probably run out of first. That's really about it for this one. Thanks for watching. Take it easy and see you on the next one.